Okay, it is better to speak, writes the poet Audre Lorde, remembering we were never meant to survive. The poetry of Miguel Ángel Ángeles takes this claim to heart. The poems in his stunning collection, Antipoetica, speak of and from the deepest struggles and questions of our collective time. The work expresses itself quite impressively in a variety of forms, from lyric and experimental visual poetry to stanzas, metered verse, and traverses myriad inner and outer terrains. At the heart of the collection is a profound, nearly unspeakable grief at the loss of a brother and a speaker, a prodigal son of sorts, living and attempting to live in the aftermath of loss. This personal grief, rather than staying confined to the lyric eye, creates a portal to the daily losses we're enduring and witnessing now. In the poem, your beloved tells you that his heart is tired. The speaker attempts to communicate with someone dear whose home in Gaza has been destroyed. And in that attempt, the poem's form constellates into a web of fragments as if enacting the impossibility of making meaning in the face of genocide. In other works, Miguel channels a rage so many of us feel now, living in the belly of the beast of empire. His is the kind of poetry that's unafraid to face the forces that want us dead. It's also a poetics that transcends the material world, offering us moon shards, mirrors, dragons, jagged crowns, and a tenderness that feels both hidden and holy. Quote, your softness is not a tomb that will break itself for a jaded tongue, unquote, writes the speaker in the final poem of this collection. So many of the poems here walk the tense high wire between vulnerability and brutality, between love and the violence that attempts to destroy it, between, quote, the red rose and the brittle slaughtered leaves. Miguel, it's been an honor to accompany you through the making of this work. May you continue to transmute pain into arts for yourself and for all of us. Please join me in welcoming Miguel Ángel Ángeles.
Y'all, I appreciate, I hope that y'all will bear with me. This will be the only funny part of my time up here, so please enjoy the laughter just while I open up Acrobat, because that just feels, I don't know, capitalism. So, yes, so, okay. Well, that is not what I was looking for. We'll just do this one. It's fine. Okay. Thank you so much, Brynn. Thank you. I really appreciate that introduction. I know that, oh my God, it's been a time working with me, and I really appreciate all that you do. And I really appreciate, I don't think that people understand like all of the academic work that you put in, and my dur as well. I think like all of like the emotional stuff that like y'all do, like I'm so appreciative of that. And I know that it takes a lot out of y'all because I've done that before. So I just really want to thank you so much for that. I know that it would be a very different experience if I didn't have both of you to like assist me and to be with me. I feel like one of those people like who doesn't think they're gonna win an award, so they don't write a speech. And then but then Hua like showed me that like you always need to be prepared. And I should have known because I knew I was gonna be up here reading. But I just want to thank like my family, my mom, my sister, my brothers. Just I really appreciate y'all for all that you've done for me, my friends, Monica, Olivia. I know like I wouldn't be here like in so many ways without y'all. Angelina and Shu. Oh my God. I really appreciate all of like the time that we spent together. And yeah. Okay, so enough of the feelings. Like we'll go on to other feelings. But I think I'm just gonna start. We're just gonna dive in. And you know, this is a work in progress. Beware the Crosshairs, an open letter to Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey. Thank you for not joining the pedophile class, denying the seduction that Chomsky fell for, ignored rape of children, cannibalism, cheered genocide for. Thank you for showing the world the children of Gaza, Muslim converted descendants of 2,000 years ago Jews, that they must die to protect the pedophiles blackmailed by the descendants of European converted Jews turned Nazis for the sake of resource-rich land. Thank you for reminding me truth should not be redacted to re-victimize, protect pedophiles, conspirators of child sexual abuse trafficking to people with power. Thank you for showing me not all politicians are shit while drawing bullseyes on your backs, families, friends too. Thank you for risking yourselves when the easy thing to do, power-grabbing thing to do, was play along. Let me just put a timer on my phone. Just want to make sure I don't go over. So, okay. Cut the bullshit. Brown folks don't matter. We don't care at all how they live, when they die. Let's admit, we only give a fuck about their lives when they're in the womb of Westworld women. Read civil, just like or above me. And only then when we don't have to self or group care for them. Life just counts when it does not fight our view of the world. Read one world, no shade of gray, not bi, tri, multi. Life is only life that counts when we deem it as human. When we see crowds of Gazans in line, fenced in by Israel, with weeks of forced starvation by Israel, what we see are pens built by Israel to trap beasts. When masked, ICE, FBI, and police cuff a Salvadoran woman in front of her 8-year-old son, all we see are crooks that don't need rights since they don't speak our tongue, since they don't pay taxes, since they are here to steal back America from Americans. When Israeli warplanes have buried his home 2 and 5 and 14 stories underground, we see one more young Gazan man in tears and screams, lays, kneels, pounds, grieves on jagged slabs of his home as he hears his beloved aunt beg for help. Life he cannot provide. We just laugh and note that he fucked around and found out. When we see Black and brown young men rise up in peace, they stand against raids that take and disappear their beloveds. We see outlaws defending outlaws. Get them and their ilk the fuck out of our free. Fuck Jewish, Israeli, and American supremacy. Sorry, yeah, all the trigger warnings, so. But you're already here, so. Okay. This was a poem that I wrote before I attended the MFA, but I feel like I just really love this poem, so I'm gonna share it with you. You find a butter knife beneath your pillow. Para J-Dog y Aurora Masum Javed. Your mom asks from the passenger seat, orange branches reaching as you coast by, ¿A qué hora te dormiste anoche? You roll your heavy lidden eyes as if night were over, sun and moon both missing from the morning sky. A las 12, you lie. What does she know about your insomnia? All of the things you swallow during the day that keep coming up. Once, after you tried to hug her and she turned away, you coughed up black buttons from her cardigan. Once, after a fight with your brother over flora and foliage you cut that he didn't ask you to, you tremored through palm leaves, foxtails, and pensamiento petals beneath the covers. Once at work, it was paper clips, staples, and whiteboard marker caps that marked your monster visor, taking credit for the presentation you created and delivered while she took her daughter to school. This morning, after startling to toothbrush bristles, coffee grounds, and diabetic strips from an argument over where you wanted to breakfast, You want to look over and ask, ¿Y usted, ama? What did you cough up this morning? Instead, you look ahead and ask, ¿derecho o derecha? And wait for her response at the intersection. Yeah. So I don't think we're gonna get through all the poems that are here, but we'll make do. So this next poem, like grief has been like a very big part of like the work that I've written. Grief has been a very big part of like my own story. My brother was murdered when I was 17, and I never really like dealt with the grief because of, you know, just family and like just never really understanding that I needed to deal with it. And so it's kind of just always stuck with me. And I think that this time like in the MFA program came up for me. And one of the things that also came up for me in teaching was working with students and with young men and realizing like all the struggles that they're having, right, with mental health. And it feels like sometimes they're not really appreciated as much as they should be. It feels like sometimes they get thrown under the bus so much because they're men. And I just wanted to like talk about that. So this is about my own struggles. My withdrawal begins in my bed. When my morning alarm blares, I make my bed. Fortress, soft cotton, iron knit, moat of 7 crumpled pillows, drawbridge, 1 curled knee. Then thoughts of day's responsibilities reach the walls. 5 poems, gradings, 2 payments overdue. They get washed from the rancid spill of not good, not smart, not man enough. I pull the Joker Batman mother's sewn blanket. Purple, green, silver threaded blade, relic from a 22-year-old self. It's Framingham, a map of 41 anxiety years. I go back to sleep. In dreams, I escape the fears that keep me weak, trading this room for dragon skies, crystalled calm. By afternoon, fortress changed, the walls grown tight, my bed 365 straitjackets. I racked myself. Each fold a choice to hide, each tuck a silent vow. Better to hold, better to be held, jagged embraced, fear ruled, than live free. This next poem is How to Grieve. Like this in particular talks about grief with my brother. I also realized when I was working with Brynn that like I write in series. So like you'll see the same title pop up multiple times. But this is like my first poem. How to Grieve. Don't tell your friends your brother died. Lean on your family. Family is everything, even when it isn't. Don't tell anyone you wish it was Alacran or Astrid instead. Don't celebrate your graduation. Spend summer at home. Ignore the police report that he died by accident or suicide. Plaster missing person flyers with your family 2 days after his burial to gather information on how he died. Visit the train tracks where he was found behind Fresno Greyhound bus terminal. After Gallo and Camaron go and say it wasn't an accident. Where gray gravel stones are browned in brother's blood. Watch Astrid gather a pile of your brother's bloodstones, all for herself. Wrap them in a hoodie and stick them in the trunk of her 1999 green Honda Accord. So next poem, Rhetoric of Genocide. After Israeli President Herzog. There are no innocent civilians in Gaza. There are no innocent civilians in Gaza. Your brother's crown lies in pieces, jagged, jeweled, buried under craggy rocks. along railroad tracks in a dusty part of a town you don't belong to. You are ungrateful kin. Move suns, moons, stars away. Leave your mother, your brother, sisters to search for whatever shards they can on weekends, holidays, birthdays, anniversaries. You play prodigal, strangered, peddling, never meant for you riches, drowning loss in tears, huffing salvation out of brown bottles, alone in demon dark rooms. This next poem is called Antipoetica. Antipoetica is the title of my manuscript, so we'll see how it goes. Antipoetica. Estas palabras no significan nada. These words are crisscross lines, curves on white page. Your silence will not save you. So they teach you to scream and shout, but you let nothing out. Nothing will cauterize your bleeding heart. Gritas, lloras, pero nunca te enseñaron a escuchar. Nobody knows. Everyone just shouting and screaming. And it's always the same people. Get heard, get saved, never in danger of spear in their hand. Chosen people silence our world at thought of one word. Anti-Semitism. So what is the point of words if you will never be equal? Who will listen? People just follow pattern. Just shut up and die. So I write a lot about Gaza, and this was one of the first poems that I wrote. The air in Gaza smells like corpses after Caitlin Johnstone. So I'll admit, like, Substack was really helpful for me for like finding independent journalists, because none of the American media was talking about what was actually happening in Gaza. They were only concerned with making sure that Israel was able to defend itself, but never talked about the ways in which Israel was just carpet bombing and indiscriminately using lavender to target people. You know, any angry Palestinian was a target because angry Palestinians are evil, right? So it was really helpful to find people like Caitlin Johnstone. The air in Gaza smells like corpses after Caitlin Johnstone. Get ready for revolution, my brother whoops. Revolution that doesn't matter, I say, before I hang up on him 3 days before the election. I know Israel will continue to pulverize the world in Lebanon. Los apocalipsis llegan cada segundo en Palestina asaltada, where packs of starving dogs fight over which will carry leg, arm, torso of infant in their mouths. For recovery workers to wrestle them away for some semblance of dignity in improper burials of mass graves of limbs. Mientras América se vuelve azulada y América se vuelve colorada y América sale moroteada, fights itself in its choice between one Zionist genocidal monster and another Zionist genocidal monster, never questions why Zionism, genocide, monstrosity is this trade-off for cheaper gas, cheaper groceries, cheaper lives. América for America, chingue su madre el hemisferio sur, que se queden en el infierno los del infierno. My brother's world is stuck between two oceans, between two borders. His fight for human life begins and ends in women's wombs, unconcerned with the cratered skulls of brown boys that might be his sons. They would have grown up to be terrorists anyway, he says. And I wonder, how will I ever scrub the complicity from my skin? Y cómo voy a amputar el sabor de niños bombardeados de mi lengua? How will I ever let 2,700 martyred lines from my American blood? So it's one of my dragon poems, so hopefully it's not that it's not that heavy. The crack in my molar opens to reveal a dragon's egg. And I don't know why my mom keeps coming up with dragon poems, but maybe she's a dragon, I don't know. The crack in my molar opens to reveal a dragon's egg. I got a pile of them tumbling in the corner of my mom's kitchen. She says, time to see a dentist, mijo. Fill the crack or yank the molar. Ya está harta de tantos pinches huevos rodeando around. What she don't know, my tooth alone keeps me from being mother of dragons. The sickle probe in a latex gloved hand scraped the tooth too deep, too far, too quick. Por su parte, y'all, la dentista did all she could to stave the horde, a fire-breathing, Spanglish-speaking, pyramid-pounding motherfucking throng. Rocket rages, thunder thrums, sonic wails escaped from my dislocated maw, the rural clinic grounds epicenter for a whirlwind monstrous mass. They waited for my claim, a call to destruction, power, dominion. Dumbfounded that my jaw was portal to a forgotten world, I froze. No one prepared me to own the power to break and rule the world. Again, a series. There are no innocent civilians in Gaza. 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 Your beloved tells you that his heart is tired. In Gaza, Israel drops bombs like manna on starving children. You sit by your phone and wait for a text. Your beloved is caught between Israeli-American bombs and the rubble of his childhood home and his father's wants. The sky is an acrid playground for a truculent God. The Kinnet sired as holocaustal as a God they claim and don't believe in. Their delusion of grandeur tells the world a millennia's-old fabulation is the source of a historical record. Meant to be obeyed, meant to rule the just and the fool, meant to destroy the lesser ilk like you, that were born of coward gods, whose kin were meant to burn, meant to starve, meant to be exterminated. And here, your beloved, a victim of a decades-old lie of colonialism. His heart too vile, too terror, too danger, too brown to exist on and steward an oil-rich land. So your beloved walks miles for a gallon of water, for father, mother, sisters, brothers, his love, stronger than the star streams, rougher than the slabs and slag ends, brighter than the phosphorus falling that he sees all day, that he flees all day, that he fears all day, that leaves him closed, wrecked, and tired. So I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna jump ahead. I'll read this one. Another dragon poem with my mom in it, so yeah. Maybe she's the mother of dragons. I feel like a dragon, so I think yes. Okay, anyway. Los dragones están ganando, dice mi mamá with a smile. Hoarding saved us, finally. For years, the freezer stored her. La carne alimentó a mi madre. When she hatched them, massive frames, the dragons wait to settle our walls. Windows rattling leather, flapping. Lo sentimos todo. A flame houses our neighbors. Front door, the outside faces her. The smoke wipes her behind the door. She shuts, the door she shuts. La sonrisa, my mother says, is winning the dragons. I'll do a few more. This is Elegy for Brother after Cassandra Lopez. I tried singing you on into the other world, let you go, give you the sending you deserved, but I never learned to pluck your name out of my stars. Tu hermano, Don Ancin spread wide across your back, para vencer todo mal que cruce tu camino. I tried singing you on into another world. You, brother, because tattooed Mexicans are the lowest class. Nobody cared about all of the ways your body became a crime. I never learned to pluck your name out of my stars. Tu hermano, whom I strangered so easily from my shame, por tu jotería jamás negada, and mine, I too afraid to own. I tried singing you on into the other world. You, brother, who made mother, weeping, wailing woman, made me Cassandra, broken prophet, all lies. I never learned to pluck your name out of my stars. Tu hermano, more father than father, missing brick of my golden path. I tried singing you on into the other world. I just never learned how to pluck your name out of my stars. Let me see. Dear Mundo, me dejaste en cero, sin una palabra at Manny's cumple, throat nodding, eyes swelling, when you told the family that you were leaving for Seattle, dos, tres, cinco veces sinale, then closed my mouth and looked at the browning grass. 8 o'clock sunset y nadie dijo nada about the beer on your breath. Tres estrellas rotas nos vigilaban por lo que venía, while Manny bid farewell to year 21. Nos hicieron falta 34 and 55 to keep you. Daría 89 vidas para tenerte de nuevo. Trade in 144 galaxies all these years later. I'm selfish. Can you blame me? Okay. I'm just going to read 2 more poems. This was a poem that I wrote for a Red Crescent paramedic, Rifat Radwan, who Israel, like the IOF had said, basically came in and like they didn't realize they were paramedics, but Rifat's, he recorded the scene of the Israelis and of the Israelis basically ambushing them. And so I turned to him for this. For men that run into fire with shahada in their throat. For you, Rifat Radwan, whose lion-hearted ways made you Red Crescent paramedic, whose gifts saved lives through unbalanced arithmetic of Holocaust. A life is a life for more than one person. Oh, Rifat, how many stolen boys did you breathe life back into? How much rubble did you displace to rescue a daughter? 24-year-old Rifat, who drove on dark roads through shellings and bombings that turned his homeland greened and redded and blackened with refugee life to grayed, browned rubble destruction. How much family did you lose in airstrikes you didn't respond to? How many drones did you count buzzing overhead while you rested between calls? How much blood did you wash out of uniform before it stained? Dear dragon-spirited Rifat, who pierced your crisis in a cross-haired crescent, how many double taps did you witness? Steal your comrade brothers. You were too late to heal. Give back to weeping sisters and wailing friends. How many times did you nightmare that they would be you? How many died and still will without your care? Forgive me, Mother. I only chose this way to help people, you said as you died. Okay. I'm going to end on this poem. Devuélveme mis dioses. Connect me to the roots that were burned and torn and shredded. Give me back my grief of their loss and the knowledge of what I'll never know. Devuélvame a mis orígenes dioscuros, genocidientes, que hicieron al delgadito en la cruz temblar. Give me back mis macuatil and istopili, obsidian and metal on wood. to remind my enemies que ellos también saben cómo sangrar. Give me back my serpent's tongue para romper las mentiras cristian, europeas y honestas de que soy de la nada, de que mi herencia infernal no la debo celebrar. Devuélveme mis plumas, quetzales, azules, para volar, mis queridos, rescatarlos de los diablos que queman, que los tirotean, que los violan con feliz impunidades. Thank you.